Hello and welcome to The One Show with Adrian Chiles.
And Christine Blakely, and we're delighted to have Patsy Kensit with us this evening. Patsy, lovely to have you along. Thanks for coming.
Here. And on a firm footing, we have fallen dancing on ice maiden Aggie McKenzie.
Fallen maiden, we can't call her that. Sounds awful. And from The One Show team, Colin Jackson's here and Lucy Siegel too.
There they are. Hillary Clinton is now just about the bookie's favourite to become the next American president. She'd be the first woman in the job.
This weekend I was in Liberia, as you know, for sport relief. Its president, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, is Africa's first female elected leader.
And here in the UK, it's almost 30 years since we had our first and so far only woman Prime Minister.
To some extent, they're probably all in a bit of debt to the women who were prepared to lay down their lives to help win them the right to vote.
That battle was won 90 years ago today. Aggie McKenzie has been looking at how the suffragettes helped change history.
If I were standing here 100 years ago, I would have had little influence on the way I live my life, never mind any say in how the country was being run. Before 1857, women had no legal right to divorce their husbands, even if they were beaten. And it was only in 1870 that married women could keep their own wages. But by the end of the 19th century, women wanted one basic right, and that was the right to vote. One of these women, Emmeline Pankhurst, was so frustrated by the government's resistance to change that in 1903 she founded the Women's Social and Political Union. The women began with peaceful protests and heckling politicians. But soon they were chaining themselves to the railings of Buckingham Palace and Downing Street. When they were sent to jail, many went on hunger strike, only to be force-fed by the authorities. Even after all this, they were still ignored by Parliament, so they turned to force. One of the darkest days was the tragic death of militant member Emily Davidson. In 1913, on Derby Day, here at Epsom, she ran out into the path of King George V's horse. Emily died 4 days later. Had she intended committing suicide, or was it simply a case of taking drastic action to get her point across? Either way, the suffragette movement had gained a martyr. While tens of thousands of men were dying in the trenches, women were taking their place back home. It was to be the turning point. And on the 6th of February 1918, the Representation of the People Act was passed, giving women over the age of 30 the vote. But do today's women make use of their right to vote? In the last general election, around 40% of us didn't even bother.
It offends me when women don't vote, because if you have a look at suffragettes, people who really gave their lives in order for us to have the opportunity to go in and vote, and we waste the opportunity, to me it's an offence.
Having the vote empowers us with choice, freedom and the ability to make real change. So, why aren't more of us voting?
That is the question, Aggie, exactly. I mean, it wasn't exactly universal suffrage, though, was it?
No, it wasn't actually, because at that stage when women were granted the vote, you had to be over 30, either a householder or married to a householder or a graduate. So it wasn't exactly universal, no.
And Patsy, it's kind of humbling to watch all this, isn't it?
But totally humbling. I mean, they were very courageous women, and it's a shame that those restrictions were placed upon, you know, them initially. But I know it's a wonderful thing that they did.
Mm-hmm. We're joined now by a viewer as well, Peter Barr from Northamptonshire.
Peter Barrett.
Barrett.
Hello,
Sorry.
Adrian.
How you doing? I got your name wrong. It's going to get better from now on.
Thank you for that.
All right. Now, you've got a fantastic story you've been good enough to tell us about your great-grandmother. And I thought they were all from the upper classes, or the suffragettes, but your great-grandmother wasn't.
No, Alice Hawkins was a working-class lady. She was a shoe machinist by trade. She worked long hours in a shoe factory in Leicester, but she found the time in the evenings to campaign for women's rights. And in 1907, she joined the suffragette movement in quite a dramatic fashion.
Right. Well, go on then. So,
well, she went down to London to an occasion when the suffragettes called a meeting in Hyde Park, and they went to the Houses of Parliament and protested at a lack of a bill in the King's speech that day to give women the right to vote. The police were called in, 29 women were arrested, including Alice, and the next day they were all given 14 days in Holloway jail.
Incredible. It wasn't their only brush with the law, was it?
Alice's, no, she went to prison 5 times.
Yeah.
On the second occasion, she stood in full view of a police officer and threw a brick through the Home Office window.
Right.
She'd fire in her belly, didn't she?
She was a very determined woman.
Yeah. Have you got any daughters or anything? Are they as
My
fiery as
daughter was
her?
yes, in the same vein, I have to say.
But there's real spirit. There's a postcard here from one of her colleagues, dated I think 15th of February
1911, yes.
December 1911, in fact, and it says, "Dear Mrs. Hawkins, hope you are quite well after your holiday at Holloway Castle."
That's right. That's when she threw a brick through the Home Office window.
But Holloway Castle, weren't they? They were laughing in the face of this authority, weren't they?
They were determined to fight and to gain the vote. And she campaigned for 7 years up to the Great War.
And we can see the arrest warrant when your great-grandmother was banged up. There it is.
Yes, that's when she was arrested outside the House of Commons. And we've always kept these items in the family.
You wonder how far we've got some great posters, haven't we, from the 50s? You know, all these efforts were made in 1911, 1912, and then where did we end up in 1950?
Completely politically incorrect. Look at that. I mean, Aggie, that's disgraceful,
It's
isn't it?
an outrage. Absolutely.
And this one's from the 60s.
Look at this. The chef does everything but cook. That's what wives are for. Disgraceful.
Absolutely horrendous.
Although, Aggie, went on your quest to keep the nation clean and tidy, as it were, you're teaching men and women to get back into the house.
It's not just women we're talking to, absolutely.
So why isn't there a man doing the teaching then? That would have been if there were, although you're great with your partner in crime, which would have been a man and a woman doing the...
Do you think?
Yeah.
Quite possibly, actually. That's a very good point, actually.
Okay.
Put that one forward.
Peter, thanks very much for getting in touch with us. Lovely to have you on here.
Thank you, Peter. Now, on Monday's show, Steve Backshall went in search of one of Britain's rarest animals, the white-tailed eagle. Back from the brink of extinction, it's now thriving in the west of Scotland.
Creatures great and small have highly developed survival instincts, but some just seem a little tougher than the rest. Ellie Harrison goes in search of the real hard nuts of the bird world.
I'm in the Cairngorms in Scotland, the windiest, coldest and snowiest place in the UK. But believe it or not, there are some animals which choose to live here. I'm on the trail of the UK's toughest, hardiest birds. Birds that have adapted to our most extreme environments. And my search begins at the Cairngorms Ranger Station, 600 metres above sea level. I believe there are 3 contenders for Britain's toughest bird. The snow bunting, a sparrow-like bird but with the survival skills to rival Ray Mears. The golden eagle, the most powerful predator in the Highlands with a 2-metre wingspan and talons that can pierce flesh. And the ptarmigan, a type of grouse which can maintain a body temperature of 40 degrees while the air around it is minus 35 degrees. I'm going to go find out. Heather, what kind of conditions are there? To help me judge this survival of the fittest competition, I'm judged by Ranger Heather Morning. Heather's been leading exhibitions in the mountains for 20 years and has seen these birds in the most extreme conditions. So Heather, it's moderately mild today. I wouldn't exactly call it warm, but what kind of conditions can you get up here? What have you experienced?
It can go down to, you know, as much as minus 10 on the tops, but it's not really the cold that's the killer up here, it's the wind. Strongest wind speed last winter was recorded 175 miles an hour. So, you know, the ptarmigan and snow bunting we're looking for today are pretty gnarly birds, you know, surviving in such a hostile habitat.
Definitely. Oh, my goodness, that wind is really picking up now, isn't it?
Starting to get a bit blowy, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Right, Heather, let's start with the snow bunting. What kind of conditions have you seen it in?
Hey, these birds are nails. I've seen them up on the plateau above 1,000 metres in full-on winter conditions.
Wow.
And in huge high winds, and I've actually seen them burrowing in the snow. So it's pretty similar to what we would do if we got caught out up on the plateau in winter. You know, we would dig into the snowpack to survive, and these guys do the same thing.
Snow buntings are winter visitors to the UK. In fact, it's a bit of a sunny holiday compared to where they call home. They breed further north than any other birds, up to the edges of the permanent ice in the Arctic. But my next contender for Britain's toughest bird is much harder to spot. The golden eagle has a territory of over 35 square miles and lives on rocky outcrops high in the mountains. Heather, we're at 900 metres now, which is the highest level that a golden eagle, our second contender, might nest. Did you get to see them much up here?
I spotted one over on Ben Arn when I was over there with a friend and his border collie, and the eagle was actually swooping down on the collie, seeing it as a quick snack.
Ooh.
And amazingly, the eagle was actually bigger than the collie dog.
During the winter months, golden eagles will often feed on carrion. They'll gorge themselves on the meat, which means they can survive for days without feeding again, enabling them to sit out a storm. But to stand any chance of finding our last contender, we need to climb higher still. At 950 metres, we see our first ptarmigan tracks. We're getting closer.
Oh, I can see 4, Ellie, just right in front of us there. Yeah, I can see them. They're cool, aren't they?
What kind of conditions have you seen the ptarmigan in?
The winds that we talked about, 175 miles an hour, they're obviously not going to be flying around in that. They'll be hunkered down, you know, in the shelter of the boulders, but they survive up here all year round, so whatever gets thrown at them, you know, they can cope with. They're really gnarly birds.
Oh my goodness. Ptarmigan have 2 layers of feathers, an outer one and a downy inner feather, which acts like a built-in sleeping bag. They also have a really dense layer of feathers on their feet, which act like snowshoes. So which is it to be, Heather? We've got the snow bunting, which digs a hole in the snow to see out the blizzard, the golden eagle, which goes for days without food to survive the storm, or the ptarmigan with a built-in sleeping bag.
But I guess the winner has to be the ptarmigan.
The ptarmigan!
They're so fantastically adapted to living in such a hostile environment.
Fantastic. So there you have it, Britain's toughest bird. Not Heather, the ptarmigan.
Natural survivors up there, Aggie. A bit like you and Dancing All Night, wasn't it, really?
Don't talk about that.
It's a gorgeous part of the world. It's where you're from, isn't it?
That's right, that's where I'm from. Abbeymoor, Rothiemurcus.
You don't get the Gore-Tex coats on, though, and get up the mountains like
No,
that.
I'm not very good at walking up there, no. I prefer to be on the chairlift.
Patsy, you have some experience of those parts. You were a Scottish lady once, weren't you?
I'm always a lady. I've always been a lady. Scottish or British.
Yeah. But officially by title.
Well, no. My eldest son's, Jim, my eldest son's father, and I had a house in Scotland, which we didn't even know actually until I think we were selling it that a title had come with it. It certainly was not the reason we bought it. It was a beautiful sort of folly, but there was a title with it. Yeah.
And what was you? Don't be shy about it.
What was the title?
What was the title?
Lady of all that you see before you. No, I have no idea. It's up there.
Yeah. It's Ochteluri, I think, or something like that.
No, I'm going to get told by my Scottish friends now. I'm not going to say it.
Just lady. That's all we need to know.
I absolutely love Scotland, and I find it the most beautiful, dramatic, wonderful, landscape, and I miss it actually.
But you're an urbanite, a Londoner. How did it suit you being there? Wasn't it a big culture shock?
Not at all. I mean, I have to be in the city. I mean, I like, I like concrete. I like to hear traffic. But to go away for a few days or for a week or whatever, yeah, it's lovely. That's great.
Remarkable career. You've been at it a long time. Do you ever get fed up with it? But most people sort of, go through school and then hit the big times or early 20s. But you've been doing it since you're about 5 years old, haven't you?
4, actually.
4 years old.
Yeah. I've been very lucky. I've had it's been a great, really interesting journey, and I've had a great time, and I'm on Holby City at the moment, and that's been great, and I just feel really blessed. I have no ambitions outside of British television, so right now I'm very content. And
it's a dangerous place, that Holby City. We've got a clip here. I mean, it's one of the nurses in this clip we're about to show. It's quite distressing. Goes on the rampage with a crossbow, which isn't cricket, is it? Really?
No, he's basically a sort of sexually transmitted disease freak.
Driven him over the edge.
And I think everyone's sort of there's lots of goings on in linen cupboards and so on our show. So I think that's why it happens.
OK, mind your backs in Holby City, or this guy will come and get you.
Tim. Oh, Patsy, that's horrendous.
I know, that was a horrendous shot right on my skirt. I'm so sorry for all the viewers at home who might be eating their tea.
Patsy, this is something we came across today and we thought, you know, being the rock chick that you are, you'll appreciate this, OK?
She's I'm
not the
nurse now,
I'm a mother and a working actress.
We just want an excuse to look at this, didn't we?
Exactly, because I'm a bit of a rock chick, kind of, and I love this, right? This is the new version of air guitar. Hang on 1 second. There we go. You all know that bit, right?
Press the button.
Oh, hold on.
Don't pull that silly face while you do it. It looks great otherwise.
Very good.
You can have a go there. Isn't that fabulous?
Okay. There you go.
Oh, we'll work out how to use it. Fantastic.
Exactly.
We can have a look at you. So you might not thank us for showing this, because you were something of a rock star yourself, weren't you?
You're not going to do that to me, are you?
Top of the Pops. Let's have a look. I don't know what you're cringing for. I think you look great.
Thank you for that. No, I've got a 15-year-old son who will probably not speak to me now for a week. You've disrupted the serenity of my home. It's okay though, I forgive you.
Talking of children, Pester Power won't get you anywhere. This is not available till June, I'm afraid. But used properly, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to be had there. Our Colin Jackson is a man on a mission to get our children fit. Over the past week, he and a fitness guru have been busy getting school kids off their backsides.
In the last of his reports, Colin talks to some of those who weren't so keen on PE at school, including the comedian Russell Brand, who, let's be honest, somehow doesn't seem the PE type, does he?
Me, when I was at school, right, if you didn't like football, you might as well not go to school at all.
The government recently announced an ambitious plan to introduce 5 hours of sport for every child up to the age of 16. As a former athlete, I think that is great news. But I am concerned whether competitive sport suits everyone.
No, I didn't really enjoy sports, to be honest. I can remember trying to get out of it wherever possible.
It was always the same, really, wasn't it? Always football or netball for girls. It's boring.
I've been looking at a new exercise programme those people might have enjoyed. The children at my old primary school in Cardiff certainly loved this system devised by David Marshall, the body doctor. But have we got the right programme in schools? I still think there's a risk of a two-tier system for sporty and non-sporty kids.
The sports that were provided by the school wasn't really good.
It was a chore rather than something that you actually enjoyed doing.
That's why a non-competitive system like the body doctors could be so useful. By using the twisting, flexing and crawling moves we first make as babies, it's great for keeping them fit. It works for every child, regardless of ability.
School's just a nightmare, and he didn't want to be fat, which is why I was a chubby little child. And like football, if like the ball came towards me, I just thought, oh no, here's that thing that the bigger boys want. Get it away. But you know, like, if David Marshall had been around there for, oh, yeah, I'll go on, wag your tail, lay your back, wag your tail, all them techniques, that's all right. Even for chubby little kids that don't like other sports, that's good. Plus, are super fit, good at football, kids can do it as well. If I'd been doing that, I could have probably become a successful womaniser from perhaps the age of 12.
An exercise programme sponsored by Russell Brand. That's got to be the answer. You've spoken to the relevant minister. That minister's moved on now. But
yes.
What commitment have the government got to do?
Well, really, they were really interested in it. They said they're more than happy to actually try anything that will keep our kids and nations as healthy as they possibly can get our kids and nation to be, you know, which is what we want to hear. So they've given us a lot of positive feedback on that. And, you know, the Westminster Council themselves, they said if we can find the coaches, that they're happy to put it
it into their schools. And that's 37 schools around Westminster itself. So what we're trying to do now is find the money to get the coaches to be trained, because, you know, there's a lot of people who are interested in it, but we just haven't got the coaches to show them how to do it.
Yeah. Patsy, I mean, you've got 2 young boys as well. I mean, are you conscious of them sort of keeping fit and being conscious?
Do you give them regular exercise?
They both play football, yeah, they do, but my youngest is here with me in the green room. He was digging into crisps and a fizzy drink, and I got asked this question, and I sort of looked, but he's having a little treat with his mum, so they're allowed a treat. But no, they eat very well balanced food, you know. And they have treats. And they're active. They're active kids.
What about sitting in front of television, video games and stuff for hours on end?
Not for hours on end. I mean, they have my eldest son has a computer, and you know, we'll go and watch movies together and stuff. But you know, they're both in the football team at school, so that I suppose, you know, says
all will be well. Best years of your life, school football, fantastic. Wish I could go back.
I mean, Aggie, you're looking absolutely fantastic. Talking about keeping fit.
It won't last long.
About ice skating. Oh my God, I was watching you. I did feel for you on so many occasions, and the bruises and the cuts and everything else. And sadly, you were voted out last week.
I was sad, but relieved as well, I think.
Yeah, we can see you here. Look at this. Oh, you see, the audiences were just loving you. The judges just weren't exactly behind you, are they?
No, they weren't. I mean, really, I'm not a dancer, and 2 of the judges they're looking at the choreography and the
because exactly, it's dancing and skating. It's like bringing them together.
I hadn't realised how, you know, dancing was really a big part of this, and I'm so not a dancer.
You see, the clue was in the title.
The clue was in the title. It hadn't registered with me. Not until I was in. I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do now?
Did you know it was slippy on the ice? Did they tell you that?
The skating bit was all right. It's just I didn't know what to do with my hands and my body and my head and all this kind of stuff.
It says here you took 65 tablets during training. No wonder you fell over. You must have been rattling.
I did that for 2 days. I thought, I can't be bothered with that anymore. There's no room for food in my body.
Well, what are the tablets for? Stop you falling over.
Oh, well, I went to this Chinese masseuse because I was in such pain, and he said, you need all these tablets for pain relief, for energy. And I said, what? 48 a day, but yeah, so I did it for 2 days and I thought, I can't be bothered with this.
What did you take them down with?
We were proud of you.
Well, yeah, water. I had no space for food. I thought, sod that, I need to eat.
There you have it. Don't take pills. Aggie says so. Beetroot juice has today been declared a superfood. Scientists have shown that it can help treat high blood pressure.
The original health drink was milk, but some farmers think we have skimmed and pasteurised its goodness away. They want to return to raw milk. Sounds like a story for thoroughly organic Lucy Siegel.
Raw milk, straight from the cow, no pasteurisation, no flavours, no colourings. It's what I was brought up on as a child in Devon, and look how I turned out. Anyway, it's making a big comeback.
Yes, following in the footsteps of goji berries and pomegranates, raw milk has become Britain's latest superfood. Prince Charles has been drinking it for years, but now it seems it's attracting an even wider fan base. At Meadow Cottage Farm in rural Hampshire, Celia Haynes' sales of raw milk have doubled in the last year.
We're getting an amazing collection of people, from High Court judges right down to mothers who are really keen that their small children should be brought up on it.
So why is your non-pasteurised milk superior to the pasteurised stuff that they sell in the supermarket?
When you pasteurise milk, you actually destroy an enormous amount of the nutrients, and you also destroy the enzymes which help you to digest it. This milk is absolutely full of nutrients. There's calcium, there's protein, there is cream, which is absolutely brilliant, they've now found, for your system as well. And it's got just a full sort of complement, vitamins, minerals, everything in a wonderful natural form.
Such is the apparent goodness of raw milk that studies have shown it could help ward off hay fever, asthma and eczema. All very impressive, but aren't these benefits outweighed by all the bugs still lurking in the milk?
Oh no, I don't think so. Our hygiene methods nowadays have to be so strict. We have a regular test through Food Standards Agency. They come and take spot checks, and we honestly haven't ever had anybody knowingly ill from it. We live on it ourselves, and we like to feel we're pretty fit.
But all this white goodness hides a dark history. This milk has been banned in Scotland since 1983, and in England and Wales you can only buy it direct from the producer. Even then, it has to be accompanied by this health warning.
For the authorities, the negatives of raw milk simply outweigh the positives. Pasteurisation was originally introduced in the 1920s when raw milk was a major factor in the spread of tuberculosis. While that danger may have diminished, others have taken its place.
Well, raw milk is what we call a high-risk product, which means that there's no step in the production from the cow to you drinking the milk at which, if there are any food safety bugs, such as Salmonella or E. coli, at which they're going to be destroyed.
But aren't the farms really closely monitored, so surely the risk is very small?
They are indeed, but the best way, as far as we're concerned, to minimise risk is pasteurisation. Let's not forget why pasteurisation was brought in, because people were getting sick from drinking raw milk. And what we'd advise is that you don't give it to vulnerable groups, such as children or the elderly or people who are very sick, because if they contracted a foodborne illness, then it could be fatal for them.
What's the future for raw milk? Can you ever envisage a day when we can buy it from the supermarkets?
I don't think you'll ever be able to buy it in the supermarket. I think it will remain a niche product. We support consumer choice, but we also support consumers being aware of the risks.
Lucy, Louis Pasteur went to a lot of trouble to invent a way of making it safe, and now we're chucking it all out the window. Why?
Well, there's a real thing at the moment. It's all about authentic food, and this was really big in New York, and now it's come here, and it's like it seems to be one step on from eating organic, that you go for this real product, but it does taste so nice. It's very different.
Colin?
No, I'm not into that at all.
It's just
Lucy,
milk.
You've been trying to convince me, and I'm thinking, no.
Have you tried it?
No.
Well, how do you know you don't like it if you haven't tried it?
No, I'm cringing already. I'm thinking,
it's just milk from a cow. It's a natural substance.
No. Aggie, see, I'm going to blame you for this, because I think we're so conscious of cleanliness within the home as well. Do you not think that really a few germs probably help kids to kind of in some way grow up so that they're not allergic to everything?
Well, I mean, you can't really have germs in milk, can you? That's one thing.
Well, there's good bacteria and bad bacteria.
Yes.
So, that, you know, and you want your vitamins.
Yes, that's right.
And pasteurising does destroy some of those.
That's right. But if good hygiene practices are kept with cows, then there is no danger, is there?
There's still some. Still some query over it if it's not pasteurised. So there is a slight risk, and it's whether you want to take the risk or not.
And then take some multivitamins or minerals.
No, I don't.
Patsy's nodding off a bit now while you discuss the
I'm just thinking I'm gonna sit this out for 6 months and see how you go.
Yeah.
Well, what puts you off drinking it then, or the thought of it?
Salmonella and, you know, all those things. I mean, and also for me, milk's got to be ice cold.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
Fridge,
I'm exactly the same.
But I'm sure it's you know.
You can still put it in the fridge. It's, you know, I think this is the one thing where I think the health professionals have got it right. Actually,
I'm sure.
We could talk about milk all night, couldn't we?
You're going to drink it for 6 months. If Lucy Seagull ends up mooing, you know it's probably a bad thing. It's a controlled experiment. We'll see. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Lovely to have you all on. That's it for today. On tomorrow's show,
Boy George will be here talking musical comebacks and pop star downfall.
and Neil Oliver telling you how to find a dinosaur fossil on your doorstep.
Yes, and Carol Kirkwood is back as well. We'll see you tomorrow at 7.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
The one to watch tonight.